Hi. Your battle last week with Vinicius Jr was one of the highlights, highlighted on social media after the game. What's it like to play against someone like that? Is that an ultimate test, and how important is that personal battle in winning the game?
Well, good afternoon. First of all, I don't think it's just about A and B. I think it's a team game, and obviously it is a personal battle where you're coming against one of the best players in the world. But I've faced many over the years that have been just as good as him, but I think he's in the form of his life. So whoever is picked to play in that position to defend against him, it's going to be a great battle.
Mike?
You can tell by the attention in this room how big this game is. How big is it to you? How big does it feel to you as a player?
I think it's big to every one of us in that dressing room. We know the goals at the end of it. It's a massive week for the club. We've put ourselves in, a fairly good situation, compared to 2 months ago, and that's in the Premier League. But moving forward into the Champions League, to go to the Bernabeu and get a 1-1, to then bring it to the Etihad, where I think we've been, more than confident. In the last number of years, especially in the Champions League, to go and get a result. Just hopefully we can, go and do that again.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi.
The manager said last week before the first leg that one day this club will win the Champions League, whether it's this season or in the future, but it's all set up to do that. But do you as a squad feel everything you've been through, that you've learned being in a final before, and all the experiences, that you are equipped to do that this season, that you're ready to go all the way?
I'd have liked to do it when we first got to the final against Chelsea, of course, and win it then. But I think it was a learning curve, and it was this group of players have been together now for a good number of years, where we've been able to, overcome situations, be in winning positions, be in losing positions. Remember the one against Tottenham where we thought Aguero scored and we're almost through, and then they go and score at the other end. So we've gone through, rough and good moments, but hopefully now, this is the icing on the cake, where we can go and obviously put our name in the history books for this club, and put this club on, the Champions League map, really.
Kyle, just coming back to Vinicius again, can you just tell us what goes through your mind when he's got that ball in front of you and he's running at you? Because he's got the pace, hasn't he? He's got the skills, and like you say, he's in the form of his life at the moment.
I take it as any other game. You have to show him the level of respect. It's like I said with, Mbappe when I played him in the World Cup. You give them respect that they deserve, but you're not going to just say go and walk through and go and score. I'm representing Manchester City. I'm representing a massive football club here, and the ambition for this club is massive. So if I can't compete with these top players that are playing for Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea or whatever it may be, then I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be sat in this chair talking to you. I need to make sure that I come against the best, and I can deal with the best.
Hi, Carl. Ben from Sky. Carl, it wasn't that long ago that you had found yourself out of the side, and the manager sat right there and he explained to us why you weren't being selected at that point, and he was essentially saying there were certain elements of your game that you weren't able to do from what you wanted in that position. You've obviously since got yourself back in, but when you heard what he said that day, how did you react personally to that?
I have to react as a professional. He's my manager, he's my boss. Sometimes, certain opinions in football you don't always agree with, but for what he's done for me in my career, especially what he's done for Manchester City in the last 6 years that I've been here, has been nothing short but, tremendous. So, did it hurt? Of course it did. Of course it did. I wouldn't be sat here lying to you and saying it didn't hurt. Of course it does. You start to doubt yourself, but I think that you just have to go back to basics. You have to go back to what you're good at, what what he bought you for, and prove him wrong. And I think that's what I've just done. I've just got my head down. I've made sure that I'm with the lads. I'm one of the captains. I need to make sure that my disappointment isn't shown on the team as such. And I move on as professional as I can be.
Hi, Kyle. It was a difficult period for the team in kind of December, January, February as well. Did you feel at that point in the season that you would still be able to end up where you are now in the Premier League and Champions League and FA Cup?
Champions League, I thought we was doing well. The Premier League, it was a big gap. Now, you didn't want that gap to get any bigger. I thought we was on a fine line of we lose another one or we draw another one here, it could be all over. But with this group of lads, nothing's over. We seem to kick on in the business end of the season. Seen a few tweets, and we were having a little bit of joke with Gundo yesterday. He turns into prime Zidane, doesn't he? In the last couple of months, but that's just what these players do. You know, the born winners, the top world class players, and sometimes you have to shine, and these seem to do it. You know, in the business end of the season.
Hi, Kyle. You mentioned the Mbappe thing there, and obviously we all made a big deal of that at the World Cup, and yet that night, although you didn't win the game, passed off pretty well for you. There's a couple of incidents on Sunday at Everton where you kind of came across and got your team out of trouble with your speed. You're 32 now. It's not old, but it's not as young as you once were. Do you think you're still as quick as you always have been? And if you are, is there any particular reason why you think you've managed to maintain that while some players don't always want to get the other side of 30?
Okay, I'm 32, but I'm not old. I still feel great. I still feel fit. Bar the injury where I ruptured my groin before the World Cup, I've kind of kept myself, you know, relatively in good shape. I look after myself on and off the field. You know, I try and make sure that I get the work in the gym to make sure that my muscles can cope with the load that I'm putting on them. And I probably have to say a big thanks to my mum and dad. It's genetics, because, you know, as you said before, some players do start to slow down, but I think one of the lads in the sports science was saying I hit 37.5 the other day in the speed thing, so I don't seem to be getting any slower, and long may that continue.
Hi, Kyle. Another speed question, because I looked at the UEFA stats, which show that you have 35.2 as your maximum in the Champions League, which is the exact same as Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
So my question is, who is actually the fastest one, and can you give us an insight in your speed battles and in the training ground?
Well, the manager doesn't like to really do things over big areas, so for both of us we take probably quite a little bit of time to get up to speed, but I think Erling's very, very quick. I think he's shown that with some of the goals. Other strikers, you know, that I've played with don't really make them chances. Sometimes he does create chances just by his brute strength or his speed, and you know, that's an asset that he has to use, but I'd still have to back myself.
Kyle, going back to that moment between you and Vinicius after the final whistle last week, why did you decide to go and hug him? What did you say to each other? And the message that you are opponents but not bitter rivals in an environment, especially that he has to live in Spain?
I went to hug him because he tried to rainbow flick me. So it was kind of more like, please don't try that again, because I don't want to be a meme or anything. But I think, you know, boxers, they fight, they have a good battle, and then they shake hands after. And I think that's the level of respect that I do have for him. It was the same with any other player, that I feel when it's a good game, you know, you go and give them that level of respect because they deserve it. You know, they're carrying a lot of pressure on their shoulders as well to take, you know, a massive club like that, you know, over the line in the Champions League. They've not done well in their league, and, you know, this is their kind of the last prize that they need to go and win. So you show your respect to him, but as again, tomorrow night, if chosen, you know, there's no respect after the whistle. I'll give him the respect that he deserves, but before then, you know, it's kind of dog eat dog.
Hi, Kyle. Talking there with Simon about the kind of rough patch that City had a couple of months ago, and you saying there was a big gap in the Premier League. As one of the captains, what conversations were you having as players during that patch, and how have you managed, in your opinion, to turn it around? Because obviously now the team are flying again.
I don't think it's just us as captains. I think it's us as a club. It's easy to start talking in front of everyone when you're winning. When the going gets tough, you know, that's when your real characters come out and you start, you know, digging in, and you're in the trenches. Now, okay, we're not fighting relegation, but we should be up at the top, and this club is, you know, over the last number of years expected to be challenging right up there with the league. So when we was adrift all them points, it wasn't ideal, but we knew that if we just kept on digging in, kept on grinding out the results that we needed to do, go on a little run, as we have done, we can close that gap. And you know, the manager kept on saying to us, as long as we can, you know, get him to the Etihad in a close gap, you know, I think the title race will be on. And we gave that to him and to ourselves as well.
We're going to move into any Spanish questions if we have them. Any questions from Spanish media? Just at the top left, please, Liz.
Hi, Cal.
Hello.
In English.
Oh, perfect.
I'm Italian, so my Spanish is a bit rusty.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what is Champions League for you? And if you can explain as a player, why this competition is so important that even a great manager like Pep Guardiola says that his time in Manchester will be judged if he wins it or not?
Well, you have to just look over the road at Manchester United and what they've probably accomplished over the number of years. And when you get compared to that team, to our team, you know, they won countless titles. We've done, you know, 5 in 6 years, hopefully, you know, if we can cross the line on this one. Which still isn't over, by the way. You know, we still need to go and get results at Chelsea, Brighton or Brentford, which is, you know, tough places to go, which we've experienced over the number of years. But the club's missing that one. The club's missing that one, and I think for, you know, the owners, the amount of, you know, money that they've pumped into this club, the investment that they've done, you know, we owe that to them. Now, to get to the Champions League final against Chelsea and probably not perform as well as we do, we owe that to ourselves as well, to kind of get some, you know, some revenge for ourselves, because we knew that was below par on that day. But again, we've got a tough opponent come tomorrow night to try and get past to get to the Champions League final. Then, as we've just seen before in recent years, it's a final. Anything can happen. You know, AC Milan, Inter Milan are 2 top massive clubs. So we will be watching that game tonight and studying it hard. But again, the first thing is getting past Real Madrid tomorrow, and then let's see about the final.
Hi, I will try in English.
Okay.
I want to know your opinion about how is Vinicius on the pitch. Do you think is him a provocative player?
I wouldn't say provocative player. I'd say he's a very good player. He does what he needs to do to get his team over the line. I try not to get involved in it all. You know, if there's something going on or someone's, you know, we'll call it trash talking, it doesn't really bother me. I've been through, you know, things in my life that are more difficult than people trying to wind me up and get a reaction out of me. But I think that he just lets his football do the talking. You know, they've seen a few clips of him going down a little bit easy, asking for yellow cards and stuff like that. It's part and parcel of the game. You're going to get it as soon as you can get an advantage on your opponent. You will try anything to do that. And, you know, but I do think, let's not take his football away from him. He's a very top player.
Lovely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Nice try,
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you.